I've been waiting because she was due to have her baby, so I've been watching for nests. I've never been able to find the nest first, but today is my day because I see lots of white fur and it's moving.
Oh.
Look at the little pink bunnies. That's your babies. Did you have babies? We haven't even counted this new batch. But look at them.
Safe to say almost 30 rabbits in 2 months.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, maybe I'll just switch out this bucket for the maybe 8 in that batch.
We have not done a bunny census. It's always hard when they're first born to really get a good idea. Kay thinks there's about 8 in the new litter. This middle litter is probably got about 8. And then the original litter of Sam and Rosie was 10. So that would put our rabbit colony 26 kits and the 3, breeders, almost 30 bunnies. 3 went to almost 30 in 2 months.
Yeah.
The amount of like sustainability, self-replicating system here. Some hay, rabbit pellets, which, if you had to replace that, it's not impossible. And table scraps. This is one of the most sustainable, just like awesome meat sources on your homestead. And it's just been, I've been so impressed by rabbits. This has been such a good, and this rabbit colony, the way of handling them in a colony. I mean, look at, there's like 30 bunnies in here. And I mean, nobody's fighting. Nobody's killed anybody. Nobody's ripped off any testicles.
Nobody's killed any bunny.
Nobody's killed anybody. Our little hoppet homes are working great.
Hey.
Gonna miss it. No. So while you might be thinking, wow, rabbits, what a sustainable source of meat. They keep breeding and breeding and breeding. You get so much meat from them. Ost, is that the easiest meat animal? Is that the one I should start with on my homestead? I would say no. I would say the rabbits are not what you should start with on your homestead for a meat animal. What do you think they should start with? You said, what did you say before?
I said pig.
Why?
Because they have bacon and bacon's delicious.
There you go. You better start with pigs. We are going to answer this question. We got this question this week. It is our Ask Homesteady question. This question was asked to us by Green Acre Birds. They said, you want to read it? What the question is?
Sure.
Ask Homesteady.
What is the easiest meat animal to start out with on my homestead?
Good reading, homeschooler.
Thank you.
So we're going to answer that question for you all today. What is the easiest meat animal to start with on your homestead? This is Ask Homesteady. It is a weekly show that we do where we answer questions that you leave here on our YouTube channel. If you would like to get a question answered, all you have to do is 2 things. The first one is the harder one. Ask the best question of the week. And the reason that's hard is because it's really up to me whether it's the best question of the week, and well, yeah, there's no way of telling what that might be. Today's question is about what is the best meat animal for beginners, and I will thoroughly explain my answer in a moment. The second thing you have to do to get your question answered is put the hashtag, all one word, Ask Homesteady. I say it every week, and every week people do it wrong. I can't find your question if you put hashtag space ask or hashtag ask and then space homesteady. I won't find it when I go to look to do these to answer your questions. So hashtag all one word, Ask Homesteady. Today we're going to talk about what is the easiest meat animal to get started with on your homestead. Let's dive into beginner level meat animals and which one's the best for you. But first we gotta go see our cows because everybody misses our cows and I have to go feed them anyway. So let's go say hi to the cows. Right now we have the cows in a system where we're moving them every single day. Actually, sorry, every other day.
Yeah.
You can see the grass right now is growing. It's getting very high. I mean, you can see how high all this stuff is starting to grow. We had a very early green up this year because the weather has been so mild. The cows are in their long strip. We're doing strip grazing right now. They're in their long strip for 2 days. I also am feeding them hay on these strips, so they're getting, you know, if they have to have hay, they're getting all the hay they could want, but they're eating all the greens. So we're doing really good, and we're moving them every 2 days. But we're not here to talk about cows. We're not here to talk about strip grazing. We're here to talk about beginner
meat animals.
And beginner meat animals, cows are not one of those things I would suggest for beginners.
They're too big for beginners.
They are.
But if you're not doing them for me, they're really nice.
They're babies.
Luna's tiny. She's a tiny cat.
So today's question from Green Acre Birds, what is the best meat animal for beginners, right? Is that the question? Let me double check this. What is the easiest meat animal to start out with on my homestead? Okay, so Green Acre Birds wants to know what is the easiest meat animal to start out with on your homestead. There are kind of a general, you know, group of animals that I could suggest. First off, if you want an easy livestock, small is always going to be, small will usually be easier than larger. It's just easier to get them, easier to manage them, easier to control them. If you're new to meat animals, starting with smaller animals is a good idea. I always suggest that beginners and first timers avoid small ruminants. Small ruminants are very difficult animals to work with. They're flighty, they run and jump and leap, they are susceptible to worms. So that knocks out some livestock too. So we're focusing in on usually smaller livestock, but not small ruminants. So that leaves us with your fowl, whether that's chickens, turkeys, quail, rabbits, and the third one would be pigs. So those are kind of the three that I would say is better off to start with. And we're really gonna zoom in and get one answer for Green Acre Birds because I really wanna point them in the right direction. So first, as a generality, avoid small ruminants, avoid larger livestock for your first time go around. Fowl, rabbits, pigs. Now let's take a harder look at those three. Of the three, what should you get started with? What is the easiest one to start with? Well, I'm gonna tell you right away, I love pigs. They are generally not too difficult if you have the right infrastructure, but they're gonna be harder than rabbits or chickens. So don't start with pigs. I don't think I would suggest anybody start with pigs. That brings us to rabbits or some kind of fowl. I love meat rabbits, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't suggest them as the very first one. Why? Really, it's because of the nature of rabbits. They are not as domesticated or easy to handle as a lot of the fowl. They got a little bit more run in them, a little bit more spook in them. There can be some complications with rabbits, with disease. Breeding can bring in some issues. Now, we have had a very good start with rabbits. We've had great success with breeding, zero problems with disease, but I do know from being in the homesteading world for almost a decade now, that can happen. So what I always suggest to people who are getting into livestock for the first time, I talk about this in our Start Homesteading Today course, which is a free 5-hour video course that you can take right now. Click there to join our email list, and I'll send you a link. Fill out a 5-minute survey and you get free access to our course. I talk about whenever you're starting with livestock, start with feeders, not breeders. So basically, if you don't know what a feeder is versus a breeder, I always suggest you don't start with animals that you're gonna breed and then take their babies and take them to market, because breeding adds a whole nother element of issues, problems, and breeders live longer, which means there's a longer chance for them to get into trouble with health and disease. Feeders are animals you buy from someone who is a breeder that are already, they're old enough to be weaned from their mothers. You take them from that point and you raise them to market weight, and then you have them processed. That is the easiest way to get started on any livestock, but definitely on meat livestock. So Rabbits, you generally are going to need to have a pair of breeders and then do all that work. So I'm going to say no to rabbits, and now we're zooming in on fowl. Why are fowl easier than rabbits and anything else? First off, it has to do with the availability of fowl.
Just grab.
I know someone's going to call me out on the way I say that word, foul, not foul like in a baseball or a football game. Foul, foul. You can source fowl very easily. Ducks, chickens, turkeys. You can buy them from your local Tractor Supply or, feed and seed store will have them. So they're easy to source. You can find them on Craigslist. Easy to source. They're also easy to get rid of if you decide, you know what, this isn't for me. If they're meat animals, you just butcher them. But even if they're meat animals and you don't want to butcher them, maybe you chicken out, maybe you decide halfway through, I don't have time for this, you could sell them on Craigslist like that, no problem. So one of the things I always suggest with beginner livestock, if you are a beginner, have something that's easy to get and easy to get rid of, because you might learn, you know what, my life doesn't work with livestock, and you might have to rehome them. And it's hard to rehome a cow, but it's easy to rehome chickens. So fowl in general are just going to be easier to get and easier to get rid of. They are mostly more domestic. Now this is where I zoom in on like chickens versus maybe quail or other more wild fowl. Chickens are more domestic. So while quail are great for beginners and very easy, and I hear a lot of good things about quail, they are more wild birds. They will fly away if they get the chance. So I don't suggest anything that you're gonna easily lose, because that can happen to a beginner. So I would not say go quail, even though there's a lot of good things about quail. I know in the comments below I'm gonna hear about quail are so easy and you just need the right setup, and that's true. But if you've never done any livestock before, you might not think to have an aviary or an enclosed tractor that the quail can't fly out of, and out go your quail and they're gone. So I would suggest chickens. I also would suggest chickens over turkeys, because turkeys at a very young age are very fragile. They can die very easily. So just the easiest out the gate are going to be meat chickens. Easy to source, easy to get rid of, easy to handle, more domestic. And then you have to decide which meat chicken. Are you going to get dual purpose? Are you going to get a meat breed that's a little bit more natural? I hate saying that even, but I'm talking like Rangers. Or are you going to go with the big, fat, lazy Cornish cross? Which kind of chicken do I suggest you beginners use for meat? I'm going to tell you that in a second, but first it's time for the Homesteady Camel Train shout out. And today we have a super short little shout out that goes to KIRAN. They are a seedling homestead, students who are right now working on a balcony garden. I love seeing people getting started wherever they are. I read a cool line today on somebody's social media, plants grow on the sidewalk, so can I. But they are dreaming of livestock that they're going to own in the future. Of course, not on the balcony. So thank you, KIRAN, for being today's Homesteady Camel Train shout out. Heads up for your special t-shirt coming, and you have lifetime access to the Pioneer membership. Guys, there are 6 Camel Train tickets left. If you want to join the Homesteady Camel Train, this is your last chance. Click right there. It is about to sell out, and I'm thrilled that is, I can't even believe it. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. Remember the question here. I'm always really careful to answer the question that was asked, not what I think. The question that was asked was, what is the easiest meat animal for me to start with on my homestead? The easiest out of a dual purpose, a Ranger, or a Cornish cross, easiest meat chicken to start with by far is the Cornish cross. Dual purpose chickens are going to take longer, they're going to cost more, and they're going to perform less when it comes to meat production. With a beginner, someone who's doing this for the first time, I want an easy win. I want them to feel like, wow, look, That was simple, and look at how good. Look at what I got. I got a big, fat, juicy, plump roaster bird in 8 weeks time, and it wasn't that hard. It doesn't mean it's the best long-term solution forever. I'm not telling everyone should be raising Cornish crosses on every homestead forever. The question is, what's the easiest for a beginner to start with on their homestead? Cornish cross is going to be quicker to get from beginner to full term. It's going to do much better than the dual purpose chicken that's meat and eggs. A Cornish cross is not a GMO, it's not genetically modified, it's a hybrid bird. It's been a hybrid cross from different breeds. You can order them, you can pick them up at your feed and seed, they'll have them. Cornish cross, Cornish rocks, whatever the different hatchery calls them. They're the big fat white bird. They are made for one thing, producing meat. You're gonna need to buy a feed for them, but I think a beginner homesteader should just buy a pre-made feed and feed it to their animals. You can put them out on pasture. They like being out on pasture. They will nibble on the grass and munch on the bugs just like a Ranger will or a dual purpose chicken. They will get lazier than your Red Rangers or your dual purpose chickens, but they are the quickest, easiest win. And when you're trying meat animals for the first time, you should do something that's simple, easy, quick win. Because if you get into it and in 8 weeks time, you go and you butcher up 10 beautiful fat Cornish crosses. That's what we did. We started with 10 of them. We started in a brooder in our basement. It was just a kiddie pool. Infrastructure's easy. They're not flighty birds, so you don't need some really high, tall brooder. A little kiddie pool, a cardboard box would work fine. If you don't do a whole lot of them, it won't be hard to manage them. Then we built a little movable chicken tractor for $100. We put them outside. They got big, fat, plump. We butchered them ourselves. It took all day to butcher 10 birds because we were new at it, but we learned. Zoom in here.
Boop.
No, not on me. I want to show you the whole
Oh, okay, sorry.
Ready? And man, we were so proud of that meat in our freezer. We shared it with our family when we had special dinners and we talked about what we did. And look where that led us. Quick, easy wins for a beginner make them addicted to this and get better and do more. Eventually, you're going to do what I've seen like 90% of homesteaders do, which is say, you know what, I like the Cornish cross, but I want to try something more natural. Let's try Rangers. The Rangers take longer. They're going to be a little bit more active. They're delicious birds. They make nice carcasses. We've tried them a couple different years, and overall, we've been happy with them. The only downside is they will take longer, and for a beginner, I like the quick, easy, short time span of the Cornish cross. The Ranger will produce different kind of meat. It won't be all what you're used to at the supermarket. There will be more tough meat, but there will be more flavor. A dual purpose chicken, even more so, will take longer. It will be even tougher, but when cooked the right way, it will be more flavorful and more delicious. We're eating right now lots of dual purpose chickens that Kay cooks in a pressure cooker, and they're so good. Nice yellow fat, good flavor from an older bird, but that takes more skill. So hands down, I think across the board for beginners, Cornish cross meat chickens. In 8 weeks time, you'll be butchering them. If you don't like them, you're done in 8 weeks and you try something else. If you do like them, you can't breed your own. You're gonna want to probably learn how to do that some way along the way. That's where you go into maybe rabbits, maybe you start thinking about pigs. If you're getting started with Cornish crosses, then go ahead and build yourself a John SUCOVICH chicken tractor and thank me later. I'll have a link below to John's chicken tractor designs, and yeah, that's a great way to raise chickens throughout the spring, summer, fall. That's my answer. I hope that helps. If you are interested in getting livestock for the first time and you don't know where to start, our Start Homesteading Today course is totally designed for beginners who haven't started anything yet. It's called the Start Homesteading Today course because the day you take it, you will actively start the process of homesteading. Even if you're in an apartment building, I will have ideas for you of how to start that very day. Even if you own zero land, I will have ways you can get started, the things you need to do today before you do this. So go ahead and click that link to join our email list and fill out a 5-minute survey. You'll gain access to our free video course. I hope that helps all of you. And if you want to get a question answered, hashtag AskHomesteady in the comments below. Maybe next week you'll get your question answered.